This episode of the Believe in Oregon podcast is brought to you by Bet Online. Basketball fans, it is that time of year again. The NBA is officially back. From opening tip-off to buzzer beaters, Bet Online has you covered with the best odds, the biggest promotions, and live in-game betting on all of your favorite teams. This season, every game matters. Bet Online has every stat, every matchup breakdown, and live odds to bet on during the game. And it's not just the NBA. Bet Online has odds on everything from football, MLB playoffs, NHL, and political props if you're into that sort of thing. Head to the website today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet Online, the game starts here. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the newest episode of the Believe in Oregon podcast. I'm Zachary. Neel. He is Jonathan Stewart. Jay Stu, what's up, man? How we doing?
Good, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Are you feeling better?
I swear to God, this is the longest I've ever been, quote unquote, sick. Like, I feel fine, but I'm still like coughing up phlegm and I still kind of sound sick. It's like, this is like 3 weeks now. I don't know what's going on.
You know what that's called?
What is it?
It's called, you got the OLD.
What is that? Please enlighten me.
You're just getting old, baby.
Oh, old. Yes. I thought no, it's called having 2 kids. That's what it is. Yeah.
And they're getting you old, and they're basically putting years on your life.
Yes, they really are.
Yeah.
I'm starting to feel it too. Well, we've got a lot to get into and not a lot of time to do it. So let's dive in. Early returns are looking good. Voter turnout looks strong, particularly in the swing states, Georgia and Pennsylvania. Still a few more precincts left to report. My models suggest that, yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Can you imagine if we just like turned into a full?
Wait a minute. I didn't sign
prep
up
you
for this.
We
I
just turned
did
into
not
a
sign up
full
for this.
political podcast for a week and just kind of do away with the
Which was
Ducks.
interesting. I did a poll last night because I was bored.
I saw that.
And clearly, I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Panther fans and majority of the people that follow me are male. So
White male.
White male, and I put out there, who y'all voting for, and see if anybody's confident in themselves enough to actually state that who they're voting for on.
Saw you do that. I was like, that's bold. I don't know if I want the replies to come with that.
I kept it very much so even playing field there.
Yeah.
Hey, like if you're voting for so-and-so, and like if you are voting for so-and-so.
Yeah, that's fair.
Take a poll to see where everybody's heads are at. Seems everyone's active.
Well, as you guys know, it's election day as we record this, so get out and vote if you haven't. But with that being said, let's please not talk any more politics today and discuss something that is actually interesting. The Oregon Ducks. Sound good?
Oh, absolutely. Let's do it, baby.
All right. We have not talked since the Michigan game. It was a dominant win for Oregon, 38-17. The win was kind of overshadowed by the Tez Johnson and Marcus Harper injuries. What were your initial reactions to this game?
All right. So my initial thoughts are they started the game out how they were supposed to. Offensively, making sure that they put some points on the board. Defense came out and made a stop like we absolutely thought they would. Defensive line was active out the gate, getting a lot of tackles for loss. Seemed like Michigan, it was going to be a long day for Michigan. That's what it felt like, on their side of the ball offensively. But one of the things that happened was, the punt muff. And obviously Tez Johnson and the realization of how special and how important he is in special teams. That punt muff really kind of changed the tone of the game.
Well, just putting a true freshman back there in that spot is Dan. We talked to Dan last night about that, and he's like, yeah, that maybe was a little bit of a big spot to put him in there. So that was tough.
Yeah.
But
But still, he's a guy that's practicing punt returns every practice.
Have faith in him to do it, yeah.
So you got to make sure you're mentally prepared every game, like you're gonna go win there.
Mm-hmm.
Can't let the moment be too big for you. But that was a little bit of momentum shift, I think. And they basically said, "Hey, tight end, we're gonna throw it to you every single play."
Yeah.
I was like, "Hey, just guard the tight end."
That was insane that they just kept letting him get over. He's the only receiver on their team, the only pass catcher that can do anything, and they just let him do everything.
But I guess, if you're going to be a defense and you're saying, hey, look, let that guy beat us, the slowest person on their team in a position to receive a ball, we can live with that.
Yeah.
Not too many explosive plays in the sense of scoring.
Yeah.
So I think it was a good first half. Second half, obviously, we learned that we didn't come out swinging.
Yeah.
We
It's
continue
the
to
same story.
struggle in the third quarter, same story. So obviously those types of things you want to see get worked out as the season progresses. But overall, man, this being a game that's been, historically something I think a lot of Oregon fans have been looking forward to. Um, if you're a current athlete for the University of Oregon and you understand kind of the history and the magnitude of how this propelled Oregon, during my playing days. This was a moment in history where I feel Oregon was recognized
Mhm.
as, a contender. Oregon now, they not only went in there and basically let people know that they were a contender, but this is the most improved football team in the nation,
Yeah.
and without a shadow of a doubt, they're number one, you know, unanimous. So uh, kudos to them playing a well balanced game and
Mhm.
doing the things that they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, it feels like they went in there and did what they were supposed to do, like,
Yeah,
they were expected to go in there and win by multiple scores. They won by multiple scores, made it pretty easy. It felt like fans didn't quite get to enjoy this win, though, because of the
mm,
injuries to
injuries.
Tez
Yeah,
Johnson on the second play of the game and Marcus Harper, in the 4th quarter. Initially, it looked, bad. Tez Johnson went holding his shoulder, went to the locker room, came back in a sling. There was concerns that it was a collarbone, which could knock him out for the end of or the rest of the season, maybe a shoulder. We talked to Dan Lanning last night. He confirmed that both are expected to return later this season, and that the injuries are not as severe as initially expected. I'm told that that Tez is aiming to get back for the conference championship game in early December. If quote unquote, if Oregon makes that game, you kind of have to put that asterisk on it, but Oregon's likely going to make that game. I don't see them losing two of their next three or even three of the next three. If he does not make it back for early December, he should be back for a potential college football playoff run. Again, if Oregon makes it, I think they will make it. As for Marcus Harper, I'm told that the goal is to have him back by Washington week at the end of November in week 14. But so pretty good news for both of them off the bat.
yeah, that is good news because I was definitely worried about Tez, and obviously, the depth. We always talk about depth, and you're as good as the next guy.
Mhm.
And luckily, at the receiving position, we have a lot of choices. It was good to see Trayshawn Holden step up, and
Mhm.
and also too with everything that transpired, in that Ohio State game, it was a good bounce back game for him,
Yep.
and just being able to showcase why, um, he's to be dependent on.
Yeah.
So
Completely agree. Before we move off this game, I want to ask you your thoughts on the late score from the Ducks, Lanning's decision to push it to a 21-point win rather than a 14-point win with 25 seconds left rather than kneel it out. Some fans, particularly those who bet on Oregon to cover the minus 14 and a half spread, they loved this. And Dan, I asked him about this last night at his press conference. He's like, yeah, I think a lot of Oregon fans were probably pretty excited that we scored. Others are saying that, the Ducks were running out the scores, bad sportsmanship, yada, yada, yada. What was your reaction to this?
I love it. The
I agree.
defense goes out there and makes an incredible stop on downs, 11 play drive, 70 yards down the field. And, we call that championship football. Bend, don't break,
Mhm.
right? Figuring out a way to keep the guys out of the end zone. So you reward the whole entire team by basically showing the other team's offense how it's done, right?
Yeah,
You go back down 11 plays, 90 yards, take time off the clock, and you end it with a score.
yeah,
And I was happy to see Jordan James get a touchdown. I
yep,
mean, he worked so hard throughout that game, running so physical. You got to reward your dog. So,
yeah.
um, both running backs did an incredible job the whole entire game, running physical and finding the end zone.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you're mad, if you're a Michigan fan and you're mad, stop
Yeah,
it.
who
Stop from
cares?
scoring. It's not
If you're a
Oregon's
Mich-
job to not score.
that's another thing too, right? it's not. It's the game is about entertainment. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, people
Yeah.
pay dollars to see touchdowns and interceptions and big hits and guys running over people. Noah Whittington showcased that last week, knocking that boy into another universe for Illinois. This game, if you want to not be embarrassed, you have to come to play.
Yeah.
Bring your hard hat, bring your
Yeah.
lunch pail, and if you ain't bringing none of that, you're gonna get embarrassed. Period. And
Yeah.
I love the fact that Dan Lanning has no, uh, he's unapologetic.
Mhm.
If you want to stop us, then stop us. I mean, they weren't doing anything crazy. They were just running a regular offense at the end of the
Halfback
game.
dive. Like,
So
stop
just
it.
stop it.
I agree.
And yeah, so for all those people that are upset, it's because it's what they are. What's wrong with the world? Um, so
Whoa.
let's let's not be so sensitive over here.
Okay, I like it. All right, let's get into our take and bake, kind of stuff that we've been marinating on since Saturday. We talked last week about the Big Ten championship game and who Oregon might face. I was leaning towards, kind of want the Ducks to face Penn State or Indiana just because I think they have the best chance to beat either of those teams. I think I'm coming around to wanting to see Ohio State again if I'm Oregon. That's
Yeah,
even with Ohio State looking, much better this past week against Penn State. It looks like they figured out their offensive line woes. They look like a really solid team. If the Ducks simply want to win the conference and get a first round bye in the college football playoff, yeah, facing Indiana is definitely the way to go because I think that they can beat the Hoosiers. I don't think Indiana is as good as their record says they are. But if Oregon wants to be quote unquote that team out west and truly establish dominance in the Big Ten and in the nation, you need to beat Ohio State again. We always
yeah,
say to be the best, you have to beat the best. It's not just enough to beat the best just once, though. To be the best, you have to continually beat the best and show that you're a serious contender week after week. Oregon beat Ohio State. They beat Michigan. I think if they played Penn State, they would beat them. Like I said, if they played Indiana, I think they would beat them. They are the top team in the nation, but I don't think that's enough. You've got to keep doing it and keep proving it if this team is going to be that dynastic team that we expect them to be. Therefore, I'm officially on the train of I want to see Ohio State in the Big Ten championship again. You were there last week. I was still kind of thinking, like, yeah, maybe Indiana. That'd be fun to be the ones to knock them off. But if this team is who we think they are, they need to prove it once again against Ohio State.
I'm going to take it a different route here.
Oh, please.
I'm running a different route. I'm running a
Okay.
Texas route.
Okay.
But I'm going to give you two angles. If I'm a player,
Uh-huh.
I want Ohio State every day.
Yeah.
I want the best of the best, top notch, A1, top shelf,
Mhm.
not Safeway Select. I want the real thing.
Don't hate on Safeway.
I just want the real thing. So I
Okay.
would want Ohio State because in my mind, the competitor in me is saying, no, that's the best person on the other side of the ring. I
Mhm.
want to hit him in the mouth so that way everybody knows. But as a fan, I would take Indiana because I know they are the inferior team. It's
Mhm.
the easiest route. It's the best route for us to get to the national championship
Yeah.
because I feel I feel strongly about the fact that they have not played anyone. And once they play us, it would be like shell shock and we would just run them over. Isn't it crazy how everyone freaked out earlier in the year
Yeah.
about Boise State and how that game went? Idaho. I mean, Idaho's somewhere in the middle of the pack in their division or conference, right?
Boise State's ranked what, 12th, 13th?
12th. Yeah, I mean,
And what did we
uh,
say the entire time? Just
yeah,
relax.
and UCLA knocked off the Nebraska. Who are
Yeah.
they? Cornhuskers.
Cornhuskers, yeah.
Man,
Yeah,
that was a good win for Deshaun Foster. Let
that
me tell
was.
you
I might
about
have
that, man.
saved
I was
his
so
job.
happy for him.
Yeah. Probably
But
saved his job.
I'm pretty sure a lot of fans are. Panther fans are happy.
Are they?
UCLA fans are
Oh, okay,
happy.
about Deshaun Foster. I just thought he meant, like, in general.
I mean, in general,
Bryce Young looks better.
Coach, what's his name?
I have no idea.
Nebraska.
Oh,
Nebraska head coach.
um, God, what is his name? I'm blanking on it right now. He was at Carolina.
Yeah.
God, what's his name?
This is insane.
We might have to edit this podcast once again.
You might not need to edit that one. I want
Nebraska
people to know that
coach
we don't know his name.
Matt Rule. Jeez,
Matt
God,
Rule,
Matt Rule.
everyone.
That's so easy. I know that
Yeah,
name.
Deshaun Foster knocked off Matt Rule
There you
in great
go.
fashion. Hard fought win. So congratulations to Deshaun Foster and UCLA Bruins. That'll be the only time you hear me congratulate the UCLA Bruins because personal matters.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
need to be heard. But yeah, man, it's incredible to see how far Oregon's come, and it's a blessing in disguise to have us go through that type of adversity,
Absolutely.
being ranked high, dropping in rankings, and then having to basically work your way through the process of developing
Mhm.
and come out victorious in a lot of games, but you leave those games scratching your head and having to go back to the wheelhouse and figure out some solutions, which is all healthy and it's all healthy and important to winning football games.
Yep.
Because what you're seeing, teams like Indiana, Ohio State, Penn State, you know, you get to the middle of the season and you haven't had to work hard. You haven't had to go through nothing, and you don't want to ever have to face your first time of adversity mid-season,
Yeah.
in the important games. So I think we have the best route to a national championship, and
Yeah.
I'm very confident about that.
Real quick before we get to our Maryland preview, we should touch on basketball. Both the men's and women's team kicked off their seasons last night with a pair of victories. The women
Mm,
looked much better than they did a year ago, which, to be
okay.
fair, is not saying a lot because they had one of their worst years ever under Kelly Graves last year.
Yeah.
Um, I was at the men's game. I was really impressed by this team strictly for the depth that they showed. This can be a real, 9 to 10 man rotation throughout the season with veteran
Okay.
experience and great scoring options.
Do we
All
have any new additions to be excited about?
Yes, a lot. I think there's in total not just scholarship, but there's like 10 new people on this team or 7 new people. I forget the exact number, but yeah, there's a lot of transfers. Brandon Angel from Stanford, TJ Bamba, Raheem Moss. There's some really good players.
Yeah,
Uh,
because I remember last year during March Madness, we were playing in that tournament with no barely no scholarship guys.
Yeah, yeah, it got thin at the end, but this looks like a really deep team. Kwame Evans had a great game, career high 23 points. Without Ifali
Ooh,
Dante and Jermaine Kusnar this year, it looks like we could be getting like, a year with Kwame and Jackson Shellstad, which would be a lot of fun, like with those top two guys. So it's very early, but it looks like this could be a pretty fun basketball season going forward for Oregon.
yeah, that's awesome. Speaking of basketball, John Morant last night was amazing.
Whew, he's incredible,
That
isn't he?
boy, that boy floating like a butterfly, legit. Him and Saquon Barkley.
Oh, Saquon, good lord.
Good Lord have mercy. I seen it in person. I mean,
He's incredible.
his rookie year, I was with the Giants, and they drafted him,
Mhm.
and I was and I knew from day one that I was going to retire. I was
Yeah.
like, wow, yep, retirement is right around the corner for me because this boy right here
He's
is
pushing me
special.
out, yeah.
He is special.
I saw on social media that Ja Morant is our number 1 argument for gun control in the United States because if we have gun control,
Hey,
Ja Morant can stay.
yeah, man. Listen, Ja, stay away from the guns, fellas,
Stay away from him. That and social media.
and go golf.
Go golf, that's great, yeah, get outside. Alright, let's turn our heads towards Maryland and get into the gambling corner. Again, all of our odds brought to you by our sponsor, Bet Online. The Ducks are 25-point favorites in this game, minus 3,000 on the money line with an over-under of 57.5. Pretty high over-under. What's your initial read on this?
Ah, I hope they don't get sleepy.
It's fair. Yeah, this feels
Um,
like this is the least stressful game remaining on their schedule.
Yeah, and not that I'm worried that they'll lose this game,
Mhm.
but with injuries that have taken form, these things happen around this time of the year where you played a couple games, you played 8, 9 games, and it's inevitable. Every team faces it, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of it comes to lack of form, right? The basics, fundamentals, sometimes guys get tired in the middle of the season because they lack the fundamental um, game, and part of the fundamentals is what keeps guys upright, keeps guys off the ground. Stepping with the right foot and getting yourself out of the way of danger. And so just continuing to just make sure that we're playing sound football, even when we're playing teams that we know we're just about to slap in the mouth.
Yeah. I agree. This one is it's a little bit tough because hand up, I have not watched very much of Maryland in my career.
Yeah,
Oregon has never played them before. This will be the first ever matchup between Oregon and Maryland. I know that they aren't great. I know that they have a couple of really good receivers. I know that they throw the ball a ton and run it very little. Beyond that,
yeah,
though, I don't have a great feel for this team. I do know that the Ducks are a really good team, though, and I expect them to win by a pretty large margin in this.
yeah.
Will they cover the 25-point spread? I don't know. It's a different question, but
I think
Maryland's
they will.
I th
I think we'll even get. I think we'll have a defensive touchdown this game.
okay.
I think our defensive line, our front seven is just so nasty.
Yeah.
And when you have a front seven going against a quarterback like that likes to air it out, or a team that likes to air it out, you're bound to have some mistakes.
Yeah.
And with the way we can get upfield and pass rush and get in that young quarterback's face, it can be a long day.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit more in our predictions. I've got one concerning that, but more Maryland's scoring defense is 90th in the nation. They give up almost 28 points per game. So I'm focused on the over here. I know it's a high number, 57.5, but I think the Ducks can get close to that on their own.
Mm,
And, Maryland's got some good receivers. I think they can put, 10 to 13 points on the board. So
yeah,
I don't know about the 25 number covering that. That's a big number. It's a big ask, but I think Oregon wins this one going away for sure.
yeah.
All right, let's get into our duck calls. We break down a couple things we want to see out of this team in week 11 now, make some predictions for Saturday. What is your biggest duck call, the thing that you want to see this week?
Drum roll, please.
Yes.
Come out in the third quarter and play some football.
That would be awesome, wouldn't it? I think that would be definitely a major win, the biggest thing they could do in this game.
I would like us to score more points in the third quarter than any quarter of the football game.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I would like.
I don't see why it can't happen. I don't see what's stopping them from doing that.
Yeah, I think if they have, because I mean, they've won in a lot of categories. They finished games. Like last week, they finished the game, right? They didn't win
Mhm.
the game in the fourth quarter. They just went out and finished. And you love that. So I just want to see them do the same in the third quarter.
I had this. I'm trying to find it real quick. I broke this down after Saturday's game. Oregon in 2024 has scored 76 points in the first quarter, 108 points in the second quarter, 84 points in the fourth quarter, and 29 points in the third quarter this year.
Good Lord, boy.
It's just crazy.
They
Like I
just
don't
sleep. They
I
come
don't
out
get
of
it.
that. They must be eating or something in there. What they be eating?
It looks the offense looks completely different. They just look stagnant and,
Yeah.
they usually have a pretty big lead, so I don't know if they're taking their foot off the gas or what, but I agree with you. We need to see them actually come out in the third quarter this week.
Yeah. I wonder, has Dan Lanning been talking about the third quarter as
He's
far
been
as like
asked
coming?
about it, yes, yeah.
Yeah. What's his comment on that?
Basically, to paraphrase, saying that, "Yes, I know it is something that we need to work on, and we are addressing it." But
Yeah.
people have asked him like, "Oh, is this a problem?" He's like, "No, we won, we won
Yeah,
38 to
we won.
17. This wasn't a
Yeah.
problem. We're 9-0. We're the number one team in the nation. This is not a
Yeah.
problem." But really,
It's not a it's not a problem until it becomes one,
it's
right?
something concerning. It's a
Yeah, you
concern.
because when we get to playing in the national championship, that third quarter needs to be tip top.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about how important the middle eight is. The
Yeah.
last 4 minutes of the second quarter, first 4 minutes of the third quarter. This team's been really good at that, portion of the game over the past couple of years under Dan Lanning, and they're just kinda terrible this year for whatever
Yeah.
reason. So I don't know. They'll figure it out though. All right, my biggest duck call. I want to see a wide receiver 4 established without Tez out. So you got Evan Stewart, you got Trayshawn Holden, you got Justice Lowe. I think you feel really good about those 3 players. Who's after that? You look at the depth. Is it Jeremiah McClellan? Is it Jurion Dickey? Is it Ryan Pelham? A couple of freshmen in there. Whoever it is, I want to see what the plan is for the rest of the season when it comes to
I can tell
depth.
you what the plan should be.
I think, yeah, I think I know where you're going. Please tell me.
Ferguson and Sadiq.
Yeah, get more 12 personnel out there and run
Yeah,
them.
baby. Because that's Big Ten football if it's going to be anything,
Well, and
right?
you could spread out Sadiq out wide
Yeah, he's a
easily, I
receiver.
think. Yeah,
He's a receiver. He's a army. What do you call them things?
Swiss
He
Army
is
knife.
a Swiss Army knife. He is
Yeah,
a Swiss Army knife. If you are labeled as such, that means you are a special player and you can do anything you want.
yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not concerned about it at all. And what it does is it sometimes an injury like that opens things up for the play caller.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? It forces you to think about the rest of the team. And the reason why I say that, the year that we went to the Super Bowl, Kelvin Benjamin
Mhm.
got hurt in training camp, and we lost him for the entire season. And that was probably Cam's, key to success because it forced him to think about, the offense and what he's looking at and in a whole different light.
Mhm.
And a lot of guys emerged, and rose to the occasion. And having Greg Olson tight end what became his absolute safety blanket.
Yeah.
So when you lose a top receiver like that, it's always nice when you have a top tight end, and we
Yeah.
have two two exceptional tight ends to
Yeah.
choose from.
I just wanna see, I'm hoping that this allows us to see more of Jurion Dickey or Jeremiah McClellan because they've got really high ceilings. We've been told
Hmm.
a lot about them so far, but we haven't had the chance to see them yet. So,
Yeah,
I think it's probably more likely that we see, those 3 receivers just take the bulk of the load. You get the
yeah.
12 personnel, but I'm kinda hoping that we get to see a little bit more.
And I mean, don't you think this game would be a perfect game to get the young receivers in there anyway?
Why not? Yeah.
Yeah,
We've been saying it all year, get Dante Moore out there in the second half and just let him
yeah.
sling it.
Come on, Dante.
That sounds fun.
You
Alright,
piss Dante off. You mess around, leave next year.
that's not gonna happen, but yes. Any bold predictions for this game?
um, Bold predictions. Jay Harris will have a touchdown and 50
That was
yards
that was
plus.
almost mine too. I almost had Jay Harris touchdown as my bold prediction.
Yeah.
That'd be great. 50 yards plus though, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I hope we see it. Alright, mine is Oregon gets 6 sacks in this game.
Ooh-wee.
Maryland allows
Yeah.
almost 2 sacks per game, like you said earlier. This is
Yeah,
a
they
pass-heavy
they
team. This front seven is gonna be able to pin their ears back and rush. I
yeah,
think they take advantage, especially with Jordan Birch back healthy now. I think that he is, you know,
yeah.
he's gonna try and knock the rust off quickly and get in that backfield.
In the words of my dad, he can't hold a pot to piss in.
That's a good one. All right, what's your final score prediction before we get out of here?
Final score prediction will be something like this, ladies and gentlemen. It will be 46-13.
Oh, we're so close to having the same one again. I have 49-13.
Oh,
We're close.
just flip the 6 to the 9.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
That's all.
All right, let's wrap it up there. We'll be back with you guys next week, or this weekend to recap the game, excuse me. Jay Stu, anything to add? I know you've got a long flight ahead of you here in a few hours.
No, man, just continue safe, stay safe out there. Enjoy football, enjoy food, enjoy the fall weather. And just always know that we are tremendously blessed. Um, so make sure you count your blessings.
Absolutely. All right, you can check out more of my work at duckswire.usatoday.com. Follow me at Zachary C. Neel on Twitter. Follow Jay Stu on Twitter at Jonathan StewR1. Make sure to check out the Believe in Panthers podcast and the Stu and Crew podcast. For myself, Zach Neel, for my co host, Jonathan Stewart, we'll talk to you guys next week. Till then, take it easy.